All right, so we've been testing the new Merida eOne-Eighty and the eOne-Sixty SL. And I'm here to talk to, and your name is?
Stephan.
Stephan, yeah, from Merida.
Yes, I'm the product manager for mountain bikes at Merida.
Not too long ago, before I came here, I rode the 2024 eOne-Sixty, the new one. And to me, Merida, up until now, these eOne-Sixties, they have been sort of looking like enduro bikes, but they have something about them, making them slightly less burly bikes. So all mountain bikes, not full-on enduro bikes. But the 2024 eOne-Sixty, you stretched the rear end, slacker head angle, it became more of a burly descender.
Yeah, true.
But that bike now up to 170 travel fork, 174 rear, and then you introduce a 180 mil bike. That's like 10 millimeters more there and 6 more at the back.
Yeah.
So it's a very similar bike.
Yeah. Yes, on paper it might seem similar, but in reality we changed quite a lot. Like on the eOne-Sixty, on the geometry and also in kinematics, we still focus on like a bit of the all-round characteristics, while on the eOne-Eighty we purely focus on like fun on descending, which is, for example, shown in like the chainstay lengths. We have like 435mm chainstays, which is super short and which just makes that big long travel e-bike handling really well in tight turns, and especially like it's just like fun and agile. Also compared to the eOne-Sixty, we go for like a longer fork and longer head tube. So our stack is a lot bigger than on the eOne-Sixty, and that has a result that you really feel in the bike, and you have like a high cockpit and like a super safe feeling hitting large rocks or whatever. So yeah, it's super safe, super stable ride, and you really have that in the bike feeling instead of on the bike.
Yeah.
And comparing this to the eOne-Sixty, I agree that there are obviously similarities, but the whole kinematics and geometry on the eOne-Eighty definitely is positioned towards descending. And also the eOne-Eighty, for example, we approve it for ASTM 5 category, so like bike park approval. Yeah. So the frame testing of the eOne-Eighty is a bit harder, therefore the frame is also a bit heavier, but you can officially go to a bike park or ride DH with that bike.
Yeah, and you decided to just make it with the alloy frame, no carbon frame for the eOne-Eighty.
Yes, because we see currently that we want like a very reliable frame, and we, instead of investing a lot of budget into a carbon frame, we think that we better use offer like more affordable options and use that budget into like high quality suspension. Like we use the Vivid and the ZEP on almost all models, so we better keep the budget there, and we say for that target customer only alloy is the better choice.
Yeah, I was quite surprised to see you go for 35 chainstays on this bike, because on the 2024 eOne-Sixty you increased it by 5 millimeters, and I think that was a good choice for that bike. It made it a bit more stable on the descents, and now this an even more burly bike, and you chop the rear end by 10 millimeters.
Yeah, yes, but the short chainstays really have its benefit, like in that like in berms or also in like jumping. So obviously the longer chainstay helps to have more traction on climbing, technical terrain, but we really see this bike as like for people who want to make their trail center or their local trails through kind of a bike park. So most of the people will probably just ride up the fire road and then down on the trails. So obviously you can still, because of the strong engine, climb up super steep stuff, but in reality we think most people just take the fire road, and that's why we didn't focus on a chainstay length for better climbing, but we wanted a short chainstay for more fun.
Yeah. I think there are like 3 factors affecting climbing abilities: the C-tube angle, the chainstays, of course, and the stack, the height of the front. So you got a quite steep C-tube, but is that enough to sort of compensate for the tall front end and short rear end in some way?
I mean, we used a steep C-tube angle of 78.5 degrees on all of our Merida MTBs and EMTBs, because like that's the DNA of our geometry concept, because we see that huge benefit on the steep climbs.
Yeah.
So it really helps, and I can show you later which steep stuff you can climb on this bike.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps. But of course, it would be a better climber on technical terrain if you have a lower front end and longer chainstays. But then it would also mean that you have a bit compromises towards like the fast downhills. So that's why this bike is more about this position in like the descending part, and make some compromises in geometry for like crazy technical climbing.
Yeah, so it's a big burly bike that you still can pull around sharp turns, narrow trails.
Yeah, you can. I can guarantee you that it feels much lighter than you would think, and much more agile than you maybe would think now.
Yeah, this one, it's the cheapest one, or the second, the eOne-Eighty 500.
It's the second cheapest one.
Yeah.
There's the eOne-Eighty 400, which comes with Sun Tour suspension.
Yeah.
And then this is the second cheapest one, which has but the full 800 watt-hour battery, and Vivid shock and the Zap fork, and 4-piston brakes. So yeah, that's the cheapest with the full 800 watt-hour battery.
The brakes, they feel sort of on the cheaper side, but I rode it like 3 kilometers so far, and sure, there is bite to them. They're okay, but yeah, it's a cheaper bike with this. Well, the lever isn't that long, but the throw is a bit long.
Yeah, we tested the brakes, and yeah, it's obvious that they are cheaper than like Maven brakes, but we still think they are powerful enough, as they are still solid 4-piston brakes and have like a very big oil reservoir at the top. Yeah. So we used them already since a couple of years in our MTB and EMTB lineup, and yeah. I think they are still well rideable, especially with the 220mm rotors in the front.
Yeah. So up until now, I've mostly ridden the eOne-Sixty Superlight, or SL. Yeah. And I was about equally as surprised about the chainstay length on that bike as on that bike, because I really like 64.5. No, I'm messing up with the tube angle. 445-ish, 446 on the eOne-Sixty 2024. But here you went 450.
Yeah, because we think that the target customer for this bike is much closer to like normal enduro bikes, and there we currently do a lot of testing about what's the perfect chainstay length for normal enduro bikes. Yeah. And with the Crown enduro racetracks, which are likely to be quite fast, we really see the benefits of a long chainstay also on like the descending. The longer chainstays of 450mm, they just have like a super stable behavior, for example in berms, as you have so much pressure on the front. Yep. You feel like on rails, and you can hit them without even thinking about your body position. And also in like these open corners, the long chainstay feels really well. So we think that suits this bike quite well, because it's significantly lighter than the eOne-Eighty. Yeah. So even because it has longer chainstays, it's still fairly easy to maneuver on tighter turns.
Yeah, the ride I did today with we were descending with lots of ledges, and it was quite easy just keeping the front wheel up going up these ledges. So yeah, so a longer wheelbase on this bike than on the heavier eOne-Sixty.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but because we are 100% convinced that heavier normal e-bikes, they just have stability by its nature. Yeah. Because of the weight, and on the lighter you go, the more stability you need from like the geometry. That's why the wheelbase and the chainstay is here longer than on the normal eOne-Sixty, but also than on the eOne-Eighty.
Yeah. Yeah, this eOne-Eighty, back to that one, it seems like a proper shredder bike, and it's sort of, if I'm gonna compare it to something I've ridden before, perhaps the Canyon Torque. And Canyon is the Merida lineup is sort of starting to look like a bit like the Canyon lineup, that you got quite a few bikes with similar travel, but you use the motor to sort of separate them and diversify.
Yes, I mean now you are right. We have a lot of options in the full suspension EMTB category, but they all have like different intended usages and also different motors. So we have the E140, which is that kind of SUV bike, or also for like trail bike with Shimano. Then we have like the enduro bike with the E1-Sixty with Shimano, and then we have the eOne-Eighty with Bosch. We have a different intended usage, but of course also a different drive unit.
Yeah. All right. I think that's all I got.
Okay.
Thank you. That's it. Appreciate any likes and subscribes. Thanks for watching.